People will come after you. Your competitors will complain about you openly. They'll leave ugly comments to you online. You've heard me talking about the big five now for years. And now you're finally seeing more and more companies talk about it. But there's basically 5 subjects that every single person wants to know when they're researching you and your product, your service. Anything in home improvement and pretty much anything else. B2B, B2C, it doesn't matter. There's 5 subjects that you always research online, and you know what they are, don't you? And so here's the big 5. As buyers and consumers, we're obsessed with how much is it? What are the problems or the negatives with it? How could this blow up in my face? How does this compare to this other thing that I'm looking at? What's everybody saying about it? And what is the best it? That, my friends, is the economy of search. This is what people are asking. This is what they're searching. And what's so amazing is still to this day, most businesses don't want to talk about these things unless the prospect asks the question. And by that point, we've already lost them. You know, it comes down to me, just follow the golden rule. Pretty simple. Market unto them. Tell them, show them what you yourself would want to see, would want to learn if you were in that journey. For example, if you are in the journey learning about a patio, you wanted to install a patio in your backyard, would you want to get a sense for cost and price, yes or no, before you reached out to the company, yes or no? Would you want to get a sense for some of the problems that they could have with some of the different finishes so that they knew the pros and the cons of whether it was travertine or whether it was pavers or whether it was stamped concrete or whether it was brushed concrete? Would you want to know those problems, yes or no? Would you want to know how each one of those surfaces compares to each other? Even if they don't sell it, would you want them to compare honestly the pros and the cons of each one of those things, yes or no? Would you want them to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly? Yes, and would you want to know the best type of surface or the best type of patio for this application, that application? That's what you want to know. If you want to be the most known and trusted voice in your market, you can't fall asleep on these. This is what the market wants to know. You show it through text, you show it through video, you show it through audio, but this is what you're leaning into here. Now, of course, we can't talk negatives about these companies, but you should be comparing all of them because if you get asked these questions in real life, you should have these answers on your website. You should have them online. So this is going to be key. This is going to be fundamental to you. And because we at River Pools were so serious about these things, we became the most trafficked swimming pool website in the world by addressing them on our website. 6 million visitors a year. And that's how we became a manufacturer. That's how we became the first franchise. And even after I sold the manufacturing, after I sold the franchising, still that little business in Virginia that I have does $15 million a year, all from this little concept of they ask, you answer. What's wild is most still won't do this, and most in this room won't do this. And at this point, especially because of AI, none of us have any excuses. The question though is, why do we not do it? I mean, you can do it to a degree, but let me tell you something that you might not have thought about. Subconsciously, it could be affecting you, or you'll run into this at some point, and that is this. Thought leadership is hard because if you say or answer the questions that your buyers want to know, guess what? People will come after you. Your competitors will complain about you openly. They'll leave ugly comments to you online. I have lived this. When I was this 30-some-year-old pool guy and I was doing all these things that nobody had ever done, I had all these manufacturers attacking me, these behemoths in the industry, saying, what gives you the right to say this? What gives you the right to do this? But you see, I guess I was too dumb to be afraid. My mindset was, what gives me the right to do it is this thing called the internet. And I can do it, and I'm going to do it, and you're not going to do it, and I'm going to leave you all behind because I wanted to own every single conversation, and I want that for you too. But thought leadership is hard. I want you to think about the beginning of Tesla. Did Tesla have it hard? Did they get sued by all the manufacturers? Yes. Uber, did they have it hard? Did they get sued by every single jurisdiction that they went into with the taxis? Yes. Airbnb, did they have it hard? Yes. Because they changed the entire hospitality space. And you see, each time they came under fire, but they came out on top. Why? Because when you give the marketplace what the marketplace wants, amazing things happen. But if you do what everybody else has done, you're not going to be exceptional in your space. I want you to think about disrupting your industry. Really being brave enough to talk about, to show, and to sell in a way that nobody else is doing. You know, there's a classic phrase that I really love. And if you haven't lived this yet, you will if you do what we're talking about today. Because when you start to do things that are way outside the box, first your competitors are going to ignore you. and they're gonna laugh at you and they're gonna tease you. And then all of a sudden, because they're losing market share, they're gonna fight you. And that's when it's really good. Because if they're fighting you, it means eventually you're gonna win. And this is what we see in the history of businesses over and over and over again. And I want you to win. But you can't win by doing it the way it's always been done. One of my friends' name is Sally Hogshead, and she has this great quote that I love. And I want you to think about it as you run your business, as you do your sales, as you do your marketing, as you do your customer experience. I want you to think about this quote right here. Different is better than better. Now, does anybody here right now have water in a container next to you? Is your water in that container next to you right now any different than the water in that container right there? Yes or no? It ain't no different. But yet, they became in one of the most competitive industries in the world because they dared to be different. They marketed like they were an energy drink, not like they were friggin' water. At first, guess what everybody did? Ignored them. And then guess what everybody did? Laughed at them. And then guess what the companies did? Fought them. And now they're all in scramble mode. How do we react to this? So please understand, oftentimes, different is better than better. Are you marketing differently? Are you selling differently? Think differently. It's so easy to stand out in the home improvement space. This is what I've seen over the course of 20 years. So I love this industry because if you're a high performer, oh my goodness, it is so fun because we can run past the competition because we're doing things differently than everyone.